dude. What the fuck were you drinking? You rocking it.
Oh, A down sights? Oh, I know, right? I guess I could technically fake it. Ah, shit! That was a real scream that time. Fuck! I hate you. I hate you. Give me my knife back, bitch. Oh, Lord, they coming.
This is amazing. Oh, what up, Salt? Do you go by Salt or Tofu? I've been teeter-tottering. How's your day going? Paint me like one of your French girls. Can I? Promise?
Without her face. From inside box, scent of mommy. Maybe true mother there. Stone box hard. It hurt. Steel rope in the way. Can't see mother because 4 stones. Yeah, not only is like half my friends' grammar bad, they also don't use punctuation. So I feel like I have to read their text like this sometimes. Not naming names. Still would. Oh god.
Are we gonna do the anime voice competition thing right now? Maybe see the Oni-chan.
Oni-chan!
Oh shit, it's your boy. How you doing, man? Sorry, did I put it in the title? Yeah, I'm eating Taco Bell right now. But I didn't want to start too soon, you know? But let's shit, let's get started. I was trying to give like people a buffer, you know? Oh, and wait, let me move Bongo Cat over first. How you doing tonight, dude? Doing well, sir.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going.
I like how I say sir. It kind of reminds me of like Peppermint Patty sometimes. You remember that bitch? Alright, Bongo, you're over here. Right next to me. This should work. Let's play some Resident Evil Revelations, yeah? Yeah. I need some Taco Bell because I had a busy day. And I didn't. Oh shit! I keep forgetting to do this. It was system. Yep, system probably got muted again. But Alt tab to the desktop so I can start this because I keep forgetting. This makes it borderless. All right, now let's go. Yeah, I got dude, Lemon Wedge was onto something. Those fucking chicken nuggets that they have at Taco Bell are kind of baller. They're pretty good. Let me try Alt up 4. Oh, let me try it right now. It's kind of loud though. But how you doing, dude? Hope you're having a good night. I'm having an exceedingly okay night. It's excessively extremely Yeah, have you tried these fucking Taco Bell chicken nuggets? Oh, I forgot Discord. Hang on. Discord. I have my setup, and usually what I do is I'll restart my computer before stream, just to make sure everything's fine, you know? You might be surprised, you might not. But shit goes down sometimes, it's annoying. And I think Dick Record, if you follow him, he mentioned it before, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I'm gonna start doing that.
Previously on Resident Evil Revelations.
What took you two so long?
At least we're here. What's up with Veltro?
Hey, bud. Just finished the movie. Oh, yeah.
It's a security token.
I hope you liked it.
It means we can scavenge the data on that.
How you doing, dude?
What happened?
Boss, have you heard from Jill and Parker yet?
Their investigation led them out to sea.
We lost
I'm eating
track of the
Taco
ship.
Bell.
This is Jackass. I got the coordinates on the
It's,
ship.
in my opinion, the greatest movie ever fucking made. That's right. I know it's not everybody else's cup of tea.
Running out of time.
Ryan,
on our way.
It was very cheesy, but I get why it's called classic. Super cheesy. That's the cheese I live off of. See this? See, this is mustard cheese. It doesn't cut it. I need Starship Troopers cheese.
The observation deck. You can climb up there from the hall.
Like I said, I saw the movie when I was literally 7. I was like, all right. I'm gonna go. Yeah, that was the cheese that was canned that you put on Ritz crackers. No, I adore that movie with every fiber of my being.
Did that stop it? Water still.
It's okay. The bulkhead's closed. We just have to wait.
I got a bulkhead for you. Ah! You bitch! Ooh, Parker. There are, you know that's a franchise now, right? And it has extremely diminishing returns. There's Starship Troopers 2, which is, I mean, it's alright, you know, like that meme. And then there's Starship Troopers 3, which, is the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen. And then there's Starship Troopers, Extermination? No, it's Invasion, which is a CG movie, and I thought it was pretty damn good. And then it's a CG anime movie basically, but it was pretty good. And then there's Ghost of Mars, which is, it's all right. I mean, wait, the nugs from Taco Bell have so much protein. I mean, a lot. Oh, really? I have to say that I was very, very amazed with special effects, especially for the movie around that time. Yeah, dude, that movie looks amazing. Even with the set design and the practical effects, the ones that are there, and the visual effects, like the CG shit. That's a very... I'm surprised that a lot of people don't talk about it as far as like when it comes to like technical achievements. I think it's that good. It's 97, and they're doing some shit that Star Wars didn't do. Oh, so your boy, Zombomb, your mom, he just saw Starship Troopers for the first time.
You must be on the Queen's
My favorite movie.
ship. Jill and Parker are probably being held on that ship.
Yeah, the effects are gnarly. I like the tropes.
But I've got my top people.
Like my boy, Sergeant Sugar Watkins at the end, and he gets hit, and he's like, "Get out of here!" Get some blood. Get out of here! He's like, "You trying to die me, Watkins? Try to kill some bugs, sir." He grabs the, "Give me the nuke." I fucking love that shit, dude. It's just a big, like, hour-and-a-half movie of tropes. My favorite was the one where they were trapped in the base with an electric fence. Does it start for Troopers? That might be 3. I saw 3 twice. Once it came out and then once like a year ago. I don't remember electric fence. Wait, they were trapped in the base. Was that 2 then? Because 2 was the one where it was basically like an invasion of the body snatchers kind of thing. It was kind of cool in that sense. Very different. I think you're talking about 2, because that's the one where they were trapped in the base, and that was the one where it was like it was. That was more body horror than anything, which I respect it. They didn't have the budge, you know. They didn't have the budget to go full on, you know, war spectacle this time. They were like, let's do some claustrophobic body horror, and they had the naked chick from Nip Tuck in there. What's her name? Kimber. Any Nip Tuck fans here? Am I the only one? I fucking love that show in high school. And then, who else is in that fucking movie? The girl that gets cut in half by the door in the first movie, she's in there for some reason as a different character. I'm like, that's weird. I got my little Dorito taco I'm about to eat. Excited, dude. This is one of the best things Taco Bell's ever done. I would put this Dorito taco up there with fucking Mexican pizza, dog. What was the one about where they used Christianity inside mech robot suits? Okay, so they didn't use Christianity. There was a couple characters that were Christians. That one was 3. And it was the suits were a big one. Funny enough, the suits are a big deal. I don't know if you guys ever read the book. The book and the movie, very fucking different. But the book, I think it introduced the concept maybe of like fucking mechs, you know? Like Starship Trooper, like anime Like the mecha genre of anime actually owes a lot to Starship Troopers. It was a direct influence on a lot. Number 3 had a budget of 20 mil. I do love how the first movie, they had Mormon settlers that tried going to a planet and got eviscerated. Yeah. Is that the Sand Planet? Where he was like, I expect you all to do the same for me. Gary Busey's son is in the first one. Yeah, that's Jake Busey. He's also in The Hitcher 2. It sucks. Remember the 3D animated cartoon of Starship Troopers? Yeah, Roughnecks. That cartoon's actually pretty good if you watch it. It's actually pretty good. Like, it's a hard PG, what, TVY7. The people die. Sorry. Jake Busey is also in the Dust Till Dawn TV show. Is that show any good? I never saw the show. I saw the first movie for the first time like 2 years ago. I thought it was pretty good. No, it was more like 4 years ago by this point. What was really good was Terminator animated series on Netflix. Yeah, Terminator 0 was way better than it had any right to be. I knew it was gonna be good. I didn't think it was gonna be that good. Parker, fire at will. Parker! Parker! Wilmer Valderrama was the main villain of that show. Nice. Actually, that is on my list. I do want to check the show out. So, if there are any spoilers in the works, don't do it, man. But it is on my list of things to watch. And sorry, I'm not trying to be a whiny little bitch, because I think I talk about spoilers like every other stream. I'm just get paranoid. Is your chick holding the samurai edge? No, Bongo Cat is. Isn't that right, buddy? No, I got samurai. Oh, this chick. No, she's actually not. This isn't Samurai Edge. I think Samurai Edge only exists in the Raccoon City era. I don't think this is Samurai Edge. Hey, talking about Adi. She's in Texas. How's she gonna hold the Samurai Edge? Have you played this one, Zombomb? Nice ass. Dude, you are like the 5th person, including me, to say that during this stream. I think Jill in this game has quite possibly the nicest ass in video games. You know what I own, but I never, you know what? Sorry. You know what, I own it, but never played it. I have every game in the Resident Evil series, physical copies. Nice, I don't have this one physically. No, I do. I have it on 3DS though. Because this was a 3DS game that they ported over. Oh, show's been out for so many years. Personally, I believe that spoilers have a 2-year limit. No, I get that. I get that. I get that. I do. I'm not fighting anybody on that. It just, I don't like spoilers. For me, in my opinion, there's no time limit for these things, especially if they're movies that came out before we were born, you know? Like, personally, I don't know if you noticed, but I always ask. I was like, yo, did you see it? You care? Like, I always check. There's a lot of media out there. We're all busy people. I don't have time to watch everything. I do not believe that spoilers should have an expiration date. Unless it's like a cultural zeitgeist, like the Avengers or Star Wars, you know? But Dust Till Dawn, the show, I'll check it out at some point. I would like for it to be fresh. That's just my stake on this. I even have the Game Boy Color Resident Evil. I used to have that one. I let my buddy in high school borrow it, and the fucker lost it. He lost it. I feel like he stole it, probably. You know what has an expiration date because of its music license? RRR. Oh, yeah. That's very high on my list, buddy. Like, depending on when I end stream today, I might watch it. Because I was gonna. Stuff happens. But then, I also saw that it was a 3-hour movie, so I have to score away and fucking... I have to block out my schedule. If I was a superhero, I'd be the Watcher, because I'd be watching almost every TV show and movie. Nice. If I was a superhero... I don't know, I'd probably be like Toxic Avenger or something. One of the ugly ones. I'm gonna be Static Shock. He's cool. Uh-oh. Tight, tight, tight. Reloading. There's a Starship Troopers video games. I love the game you play with your friends when someone gives you a superpower and then another person has to come up with a negative to it. Oh, like a way to beat that person? You know, it kind of reminds me of like when I don't remember any examples, but my buddy Vaughn, Lemon Wedges, we do this thing where it's like we get into fights about like who would win an argument, like who would win a super battle, and it just turns into like fucking playground logic. Well he's immune to fire, so your laser vision's useless, and he's like mine's super speed, so he'll just dodge, and, you know, like it just devolves into that. If you're a superhero that had to be an original one, made one, what would your name be in power? What would your name be in power? I don't know what that means. I think you're asking me what my power would be. I don't know about my name. No, kind of like if someone said my superpower is flying, but you couldn't breathe in the atmosphere. Oh, it's like you can give them drawbacks. You can breathe underwater, but you have really shitty swimming skills. That's funny. Or like Mystery Man, where he's like he's invisible, but only when people aren't looking at him, like that. If I was a superhero, my power, I think. I like the ability to not have to fucking go to sleep. That'd be kind of cool. Like that kid from X-Men 2. He has the win button right there. You know where I'd be in life if I didn't have to fucking pass out? So you don't want to be able to sleep, but your body deteriorates faster? That's okay, he wants to be able to anyway. I would be named Heartburn. My power would be breathing fire out of my mouth and fire manipulations I control with my hands. That's cool. So you're like Pyro, but not lame. Wait, there's another item somewhere. Where is it? Is it in here? Oh, where the fuck? Probably on a different floor. Hold on, I'm almost done with my taco. I got the idea because I get heartburn really easily and it feels like I'm breathing fire. Yeah, I've done that before. It's like I'm choking on like stomach acid and like I get it. I'd love to have the superpower to be able to manipulate time. That's a good one. But if you freeze or fast forward it, you're still affected by it. What's that? Did I do it? Fuck. There you go. Damn, dude. Don't sleep on the fucking Dorito taco. That shit rocks. Hey, your boy, are you working right now? You have the power to control time, but somehow you're always late for events. It's literally every speedster, right? Where it's like the Flash, even though he can do all this shit, because he's always like stopping crime and stuff, he's still somehow always late. No, not working. Because I know you sometimes, and then your boy here, he you guys are usually working. Where the fuck am I going? Oh, also I gotta heal. Hey, Bongo Cat, you got a gift. Yeah, I'm working till 6 a.m. Got the cop lights on my security card tonight. Nice. Oh, where am I going? Head for the hall. Going the right way? I'm just going. I wasn't even looking at the map. I think technically I'm going the right way. No, I'm not. I gotta backtrack. Go to the elevator. Okay, okay. Sorry, guys. I think it's this way, right? A little higher. Did I have to backtrack? Did I go the wrong way? I think I... Rage knows no bounds. I love that show. I love that character. Dennis is obviously the best character in that fucking show. Was working as bad as you were making it out to be last night. Fuck this map. I don't know where I'm going. Oh, yeah. I'm going the wrong way. Dennis? Yeah, Dennis is the best. Dennis is the best character because of the implication. Dang, yeah, dude, I did go the wrong way. The wrong way. Hold on. Hey, Shawty. I just read your text. All good. Thank you. Have you ever finished the show Dexter? I did not finish the show Dexter, no. No spoilers! This way? I think it's this way. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you for being transparent. All good. I appreciate it. I'd do the same. I want to watch all of Dexter, even the spin-off shows. I do too. I want to see First Kill, First Blood, whatever. And apparently we're getting another sequel series. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? Get off! Get off me! Let go of me! No! Hell no! It's a one-hit kill? Oh shit. Original Sin. Yeah, First Blood is a show that's going to be coming out. No, I thought Resurrection is the new show coming out. Had a really hard time finishing season 4 or 5 after Rita. It just got rinse, wash, repeat. I feel that actually. I know a little bit of what goes on later, a little bit, but I feel you. Hold on, let me put this away. I'll be right back. Almost there. So this is my first death in this game. I didn't know it was gonna be like a one-hit kill. God damn it. Which is literally the same thing in every season, doesn't change at all. Ah, that's a bummer. I know exactly what you mean by that too. Like, you want a masterclass in character development? Fucking Breaking Bad. Funcat is looking very distinguished. Yeah, with his little hobo hat. I love it. You like it too, right, buddy? Yeah, he likes it. Dude, look at him. He's excited. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Nice. Yeah, I got you. He's excited. All right. Let's go. Let's do that again, but better. I got a pink cat now. I could make jokes. And he has a princess hat. Oh, that's awesome. Nice. Jay's playing Doom Eternal right now. Oh. All right. Oh wait. Oh, it explodes? That scared me a little bit. Isn't the cat from Steam like a Steam game? Yeah, it's a Steam game mostly. Then I joke about Richard, my bongo baby. You named him Richard? Mine doesn't have a name. He's just Bongo Cat. I don't know. What do you think? He looks like a Stanley. What do you think? Bartholomew. Commander Cuddles. No, I kind of like Stanley. But yeah, Zombomb. It's like an app.
Who knows? We haven't seen hide nor hair from them since that video.
And it makes me happy.
Yeah, I don't like it. The sooner we get to the observation deck and contact HQ, the better.
At the very least, I hope they've picked up Chris's whereabouts.
Oh, we're going through the casino. It actually makes me excited to type more to get hats exactly. Since he's a Bongo Cat, when his name be Bobo, like Bongo player from Cypress Hill. It smells like Cypress Hill concept in here. I don't know, maybe. Probably. Zubat. Scribbled memo. I already read this one. Fuck. Running low on healing items. Name him the Dap. Because he's a dap gentleman. He's pretty dapper. But I don't know. He might change it up. You know, that's just this hat he's wearing today. He was wearing a caution cone. I can give him a beer, a ball of yarn. Why do I keep getting notifications for the same fucking text? Oh shit! Oh, scan the titties. Found boobs. Magnum ammo.
This is now gonna be in my head for the rest
Hey, what up, Lemon?
the rest of the day.
Stupid.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Name Roger because of all the different costumes you can put on him. I don't get the correlation between that and when I think of Roger, I think of Tekken, and I think of Go Home Roger from Sister Sister. Roger the alien from here. Oh yeah, good one. That's okay. You fixed it. You made it work. All right. He's Roger now. I like that. Does he have catnip? I don't think so. What are you up to, Lemon? You still streaming? The fuck?
Did you hear that?
I did. It scared me. Joey Diva. What'd I do?
This way, Jim.
You only say Joey like that if you want something. What the fuck do you want, man? Is this Outbreak 1 or 2? Because then I did play it and the only thing I did was the waves. No, this is... I streamed Outbreak 1 with some other streaming friends. 2 is in the works. I'm waiting for a couple of them to get their shit together. I want to buy another gun. Do it. He wants to touch your tip, Shotty. Yeah. Get in line. Take a number. And that too.
It's moving.
Good. Now we can get to the observation deck.
What kind of gun are you thinking? Like I said, I kind of want pump action.
Something's up
What the
there.
fuck? Oh, what the fuck? Okay.
Hell is that?
I'm working on it.
Talk to it. Sneaky son of a bitch. Take this. What? That thing will put us over the weight limit.
Oh! This is the weirdest boss fight ever. You can get some really good semi-autos for the price of a pump. What's the thing also, like I said, I'm trying to be practical here. I don't want to melt a home invader. I just want, you know, this is America. Go buy gun, go pew pew. Canic MC9 Prime for concealed carry. But the OG classic pump action is the Mossberg 500. Comes in so many different variations. Oh man, you guys are getting real technical here. Melt them. I own melt them. Yeah. Right, what is this? This isn't pump. This is a pump action shotgun, isn't it? Castle. Also, I think those are too quiet now. They were really loud and they're being spammed, so I turned them down, but let me turn it back up. I owned a mechanic MC9 as my daily carry. I went over to SIG P365. The ergonomics are so much better. I heard that those things are kind of faulty, if I'm not mistaken. I saw a video. I swear they're like firing on their own sometimes. Am I wrong? I swear I saw a video saying that, like, use at your own risk. That's the P320. Oh, okay. See, I knew it was the SIG P something, Pig 3 something. SIG, I said pig. One gun I can recommend that is cool is a Volley Fire Thunder Stick. It's double barrel revolver, has 8 rounds in the chamber. 8 rounds in the chamber? It's a 22 Magnum. It fires 2 bullets at once. I used to have one. I'm not trying to break my wrist either. If you want to melt intruders, you should get a 12 gauge shotgun and use Dragon's Breath rounds. It'll turn the shotgun into flamethrower. Yeah, I know about that. That was that really cool sequence in John Wick 4. That's, yeah, 320. SIG Ergo sucks for me. I get you. I don't know. You guys are speaking a whole different language. I'm trying to keep up. It's like when Yamcha and Tien are like looking at fucking Goku and Vegeta battling in the sky. They're like, oh, I can't keep up. That's me when you guys start talking guns. What are you doing? Dude, I own a gun shop. I know so much. Yeah, no, dude. You might have said that in passing, and I'm sorry I didn't remember it. But when I was hanging out with my friend, and you mentioned it in this in the call, I think it clicked. I didn't realize you owned a gun shop. Like, it's an online retail, or like how does it work? Like, what's your?
All right.
How you doing this?
And it's night out.
Because Lemon Wedges also is interested in guns, and I don't know if I don't know. Be friends. I got a Taurus G2 double stack. I like it personally. I got 2D's nuts for your chin. Hey! Sorry. I can't help it. It's in my nature. Also, SIG triggers suck.
Yeah, I think it's stalking us.
Oh shit. Oh shit, look at him go. Oh shit!
What the hell is this thing? Look at it. How is it even alive? That you son of a bitch!
Get away from me, get away from me, get away, get away, get away, get away, get away, get away, get away. Ah! What the fuck? I'll be right there. Be right there, chat. Okay, so that booty.
Dude, if you're playing Resident Evil Revelations and not commenting on how perfect Jill's butt is, you're doing it wrong. So it's an FFL. I find you the best deals through different channels, and then you just get the gun transferred to a local FFL towards you. I also got an M9, oh sorry, 9mm Diamondback. It's got a lot of kick, but it's a little fun gun. That booty! The Diamondback was actually made in Nevada. It's a good gun, and the Taurus G2 was my first gun. I ever loved it. Nice. Yeah, you guys know your shit. How you doing, Keshka? Okay, I dodged it. Yay! What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, String Bean? What are you doing, you fat piece of shit? About to go past. Oh, Jill's booty is probably the reason Resident Evil came up with the phrase Jill sandwich. The booty. I need to comment on that ass. I want Jill's sandwich. My dick between those cheeks. Oh, I want a Jill sandwich. My dick between those cheeks. Nice. You're a wordsmith. A regular Lord Byron. Ooh, Parker. Yeah, dude, she's like perfect in this game. Look at that. Look at her. Oh shit. Bring it on. Bring it on, you motherfucker. Hold on, I want to read that in a second. You guys are being funny. Hold on. Fuck you, witches. God damn, when you put her in a wetsuit like that, she'd be looking fine. Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this might be my favorite. This might be my favorite Jill. Like, remake one Jill is best girl, but like, maybe this one. What the fuck am I supposed to do here? Get up, 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 get up. Ah! Okay, nice. Dude, that's like just in time too. Haha. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Ah! Okay. I think that's the weak spot. Oh! I have to dodge that like really perfectly. Aim for the head? Where do I shoot you? Is that? Oh, okay. All right, hold on. Hold on. So what's your opinion on the 100 men versus one gorilla debate? I think that gorilla will fuck everybody up. You gotta sleep too. I'll leave you on the background though. I loved Ashley in her whole outfits in Resident Evil. Girl, same. I actually like remake Ashley more than original Ashley, personally. I feel like 100 men can easily take one gorilla if they go at the same time. Okay, that's not usually. All the memes are like, okay, putting up the 16th guy, you know, like all the memes are like one at a time. Same time, they could probably overpower him. One at a time, it's no contest. Diva's gonna fall asleep looking at his cheeks. Man, I'm about to. I'm like fucking, you know like when they hypnotize you, and they're just like, ooh, like those are the cheeks swaying. Is there any better way to go to sleep? Right? She just fucking chokeholds you with her thighs. You're like, thank you. That's besides the point. Nice. Yeah, one at a time, dude's getting fucked up. Yeah, I thought it was one at a time. If it's everybody at once,
There will be casualties. There will be casualties. But I think maybe by the time you get to like the 40th person, you would have to jump them. Like you'd have to like have like people like holding on, like gorilla holding on to his arms and limbs to immobilize him a little bit, you know? Because otherwise, if you guys are just wildly trying to punch him, I don't think. You guys see the gorilla? They're fucking huge. It's like a big ball of muscle, you know? So I'm saying it might take a minute. You'll tire him out, but after like a whole 100, yeah.
What a pain in the ass piece of shit. What a night.
The antenna is up above.
Mr. Beast needs to make a new video where he makes 100 men and puts them against one gorilla. Whoever's left standing wins money. That'd be cool, but that you know, that ain't gonna happen. It'd be cool. I would like Mythbusters to get to get in on this action. How do you think people hunted mammoths and shit? Do you think they all challenged them 1v1? Fuck no. No, actually, yeah, but they also shot them, you know? They had arrows and shit. And like bolas, I think. They weren't meleeing a fucking mammoth.
The antenna first.
Wait. I feel like I should backtrack to all those other doors that I missed. Will the game let me? Hang on. How do you know where... Wait, how do you know where you around when they were taking out mammoths? I mean, there's like heart soil evidence, you know? There's cave paintings. There's clothes made of mammoth skins. There's arrowheads and weapons you can still find. Oh, damn it. It's not gonna let me backtrack. Be that way. Also, shout out new booster packs on trading card game if you haven't seen them already. Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me. I spelled TGC. Yeah, I know what you meant. I'm a dipshit. Trading card game. I know what you meant. All right. Beltra Agents Journal 1, 2004. Dang. We're at last putting our final plan into action. Jack Norman, our leader and brother in arms, came up with this plan. When he first heard it, he had our doubts. We had our doubts that it could even be pulled off, but now the time has come to enact his extraordinary plan, thanks to the steel will of our comrades and the one who supported our ideals with this power and influence. He has prepared these ships for our use. These luxury liners are symbols of the degradation of humanity and will be fitting vessels for the distribution of the virus that will purge humanity. I have been assigned to the task of boarding the Queen Zenobia for our mission. Bernard Cordy. 2004, 12 hours until mission start. My body's trembling. I can't stop it. I could be the excitement or fear or both. Strange biological organisms created by the virus are milling around in secret lab in the bilge. The virus can dissolve in water, so anyone who drinks that water will turn into a monster. The hunter-type BOW was infected off-site and will spread the virus on land. The decadent eyesores that is the floating city will soon be turned into a veritable hell on earth. Sorry, new word. Sound it out. We must bring hell to the people, or the scales will not fall from their eyes. That is how Norman phased it. If we grizzled financier, if that grizzled financier, sorry. Oh my God, of ours believes in Norman, then we will serve him. We must do him as well. Bernard Cordy. I'm never reading again. Yeah, it wasn't 100 of them. It was like a dozen or so with weapons. So 100 people, even unarmed, is a lot of weight. Good point. Good point. Good point. But like, how many people can surround one gorilla? You know, like he doesn't take up that much space. You'll get in the way. Like at most 15 at a time. And unarmed, right? This is clearly unarmed. Yeah, people are dying. I don't know who came up with the question of 100 men versus one gorilla, but this is what Harambe would have wanted.
Is this what Harambe would have wanted? No, Harambe wanted to like fucking eat dinner and like go to sleep. That's what Harambe wanted. And we're like, blah, blah.
It's good to take in the fresh air.
Look at that fog effect. That's kind of cool.
We got a lot more than we bargained for on this ship.
Yeah. We've been fighting for our lives this whole time.
I hope we can catch our breaths after checking in with HQ.
Jill. Your butt.
I'll check the antenna's wiring.
I wonder what that kid fell in the girl enclosure that had Harambe in it is doing now. Probably planning his next kill. I'm just kidding, I don't know. That's a good question. I actually wonder that too. It's like, what's this little fucker up to? Go try to sleep, Shawty. I gotta be up early in the morning. Have a good stream and a nice butt. Thank you. Here, mwah.
Give it a shot.
I hope it works.
Good night and good morning. Good looking. I hope you have a good night. I'll be shooting zombies and staring at Jill's butt.
We did it.
Boss,
And wondering what the kid who got Harambe killed's doing right now.
it hit really hard.
Probably sleeping.
I know. The whole thing was a setup, and we fell for it.
How do you know?
How do you know it's a setup?
Hey, what?
What is it, boss? Say something.
Just stay put. I've got an
excuse me.
emergency call.
Go and sleep too. Don't leave me.
O'Brien, we've received an emergency call from the ESS.
Good night, guys.
They've reported satellite movement.
Did they do motion capture for this game?
European
Probably.
security force. Go on.
Like, probably not the face, but I imagine. Night, bitches. Good night, dude. I imagine them doing, like, just moving around.
Already in motion, are we?
And probably for the cinematics. I imagine the game animations actually being, canned, like, handmade. But I don't know for sure.
Looks like somebody's found the Queen Zenobia.
If they did motion capture for this game, whose butt did they model Jill's after? Well, fun fact, you can have a flat ass and still motion capture. I don't even think she's modeled after anybody in particular. I think she was just a character model with an amazing butt. Like, fun fact, there could be a dude doing her animations for all we know, you know?
They're aiming at the Veltro hideouts on the Mediterranean, disguised as cruise ships.
Satellites that destroyed Terra Grigia
Are right above us. They can't just ignore the ultimatum and obliterate the ship.
Boss, get us out of here.
Sorry. But I can't authorize that.
Oh, Brian, no! He's a bad guy. Nice. Episode 7 out of 12. Goddamn. Previously on Resident Evil
Revelations. No. We're on the Queen Semiramis.
I don't have a signal.
Maybe we can fix it.
Are you two all right?
We did it!
Shit hit the fan here.
All hell's about to break loose.
The solar energy matrix is activated.
satellites that destroyed Terra Grigia.
Imagine if they made the Resident Evil
Get
show
us outta
Netflix
here.
more like this and less like the garbage that was Netflix. Yeah, I imagine that a lot often. That show pissed me off, dude.
Can't authorize that.
I was so excited for it. That's the worst part. All the naysayers, they were like, it looks bad. And I was like, no, give it a chance. And I saw it and I was like, they can't get getting away with this. Hold on, let me see what Bungo Cat got. Oh, trophy, nice.
Sir, what is going on?
You're out of time, I'm afraid. A rescue just isn't possible. Chris is traveling by sea. He won't reach you in time.
Oh,
Chris,
darn,
right?
Jill, I'm sorry.
No time to explain. I'll do what I can to stop the attack. O'Brien out.
This is the worst day of my life.
First time, Parker?
The chief has filled me in on your predicament. There's only one thing you can do. Confuse the satellite's targeting system.
And how the hell do we do that?
I know everything about that ship. I can figure this out. Just get back inside for now. I'll radio you again soon.
Still can't pick these up? No. Guess we're using a shotgun for now. Just because I'm low on everything else. Oh, wait, are there any... Oh, I didn't even bother scanning. Hold on, let me check. There could be some ammo and shit up there. Let me just... You know, let me double check. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Yep. Oh, it's right here. And then, is there another one? There might be. See, look at that machine gun ammo. Perfect. With all the scanning you're doing in this game, it's like Pokemon Snap with Resident Evil. I like Pokemon Snap. That's a good game. I could stream it. Actual hardware, too. I have it right next to me. My N64. And I haven't played the new one yet, though, because I didn't get a Switch until a little over a year and a half ago. But now I'm like... I should get the new Pokemon Snap. I think is what it's called. I think it's called New Pokemon Snap. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where is it? This is the part that annoys me. It's like it's clearly in range. Just fucking show it, bitch. Already scanned that one right here. Is it up? Is it down? It's probably down. Hope you're having a good night, dude. Is this elevator still out? Let me just check real quick. I know it wants me to go that way, but I'm curious. Yup, it's broken. Oh no! The elevator! It's broken! Again?
Damn it. It stopped.
Speaking of Pokemon, I'm thinking about streaming a full playthrough of a Pokemon game, and I've decided between Silver and Emerald. I got the day off tomorrow. It's time I started then. Silver and Gold is still my favorite Pokemon game. Emerald's up there too for sure, but I'm a sucker for that one. Silver, Gold. I owned Silver growing up. I mean Gold.
Have to do. You're gonna use the UAV.
The UAV? There's a drone plane on this ship?
Yep, Veltro used it to carry out their attacks last year. It's in a container on the foredeck. The UAV can discharge chaff that will throw off the satellite's targeting system.
Okay. And the foredeck is where we're going.
You better move fast. Quint out.
Head to the deck. Head to the deck! That. It's like a music note. I don't know what key. Oh, the card key. Okay, I have the card key now. I'm gonna go this way. I think more towards silver because of the bug festival. Oh yeah, do that then. Do it. Also, what time? Just so I can make sure I catch you. Because I do have meetings tomorrow, but I'll definitely try to catch your stream. Cafeteria, right? Yeah. Oh shit! Shoot! 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 Okay. I really do have to charge this thing. Let me kill him first. Oh, another one? Shit. Oh, shit! Oh my god, dude, that was close. Too close. Too close. I didn't like it. That was scary. I'm in Florida, so it's East Coast time. I'm probably gonna do it when I wake up. Probably 12, 1 or 2 my time. Okay, it is currently 10:30 p.m. my time, if that paints a picture. What time is it for you, sir? Oh, Rachel? Rachel still around here, that bitch? What's Rachel? You're on the West Coast, aren't you? That sounds like Arizona to California, and it's 1:30 in the morning here. Okay, okay, so you are 3 hours ahead. I hear more monsters. He's in the wall. Walls. Yeah, you're 3 hours ahead, so like 1:30 or 2 your time is like my 11 or noon. So yeah, all right, I'll try to keep that in mind. I can basically tell what state people live in by the time they give me that it's current for them, because I've traveled through so many different time zones traveling all around the states. Yeah, I don't travel nearly as much as I should, so I don't really know what states correlate with which time zones, but I don't know where I was going with that. Ah!
Great. He's still alive.
Oh, I think I just have to run. This is bad. This is really bad. Rachel, no! Rachel, I know where I'm going. Leave me alone, bitch. Leave me alone, bitch. Where am I going? Hold on. To the head of the deck. So keep going. Go this way. Oh, shit! Parker! Wait, bridge or upper cabins? Wait, actually, hold on. Wait, where? I guess... upper cabins? Let's go to the bridge. I guess it could go to the bridge. Let's do the bridge. Then there's shit in there that I haven't opened yet. Yeah, bridge. Make it so. If you want recommendations on states to go to, let me know. I've probably been to about 14 different states. Well, I'm tired of desert. I like rain, but I don't like humidity. I'd like to not have to pay an arm and a leg to live. And, I don't know. Where can you get California weather without paying California prices? Because I lived in El Paso, I've lived in Las Vegas, and one of the worst places I ever lived was fucking Hemphill, Texas. That place sucks dick. That was actually the worst time of my life, for various reasons, but the humidity is another one. I don't even know if I'm going the right way. I think I am. There it is. Oh, it's gold. You gotta know, I'm feeling love, made of gold. Never love another one, another you. It's gotta be love. I said it. My personal favorite states are New Mexico, Colorado, Michigan, Ohio, and Missouri. What are they like? Tell me about them, lad. Gotta add to be able to hear what you say. Oh, okay, let me know when you're back.
Where's the UAV?
Another one. Unlock both, just cuz. Oh shit!
Like all my worst enemies come back to haunt me.
Fucker. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. hunters? Okay. Keep doing what you're doing, baby. Is that all? Gimme, 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 gimme. Nice. Is that it? Are we done yet? Are we there yet? Is this a UAV? Is it in here? It is.
Over here. Thank God.
Back. Oh, I was asking which of those you recommend the most and why. Because, like, I don't know. There's something about, like, the bigger cities, like, you know, Vegas, where it's like all the entertainment's here, you know? But I hate the heat. It's too expensive.
How long is it?
No, like, I'm sick of desert heat. New Mexico's hot too, isn't it? I don't know. I've never been. Even though, and I say this, I keep fantasizing about going back to El Paso. Like, it was hot, but it wasn't Vegas or Phoenix hot. This is like another fucking level. Ass. Oops, I forgot to save. Well, it auto saves. It's not that big of a deal.
We need this launched as far as possible.
All set to go. Better late than never.
Quint, we're good to go.
Okay, the remote pilot controls are in the ship's hold. That's why it's remote. Go through the side deck to get to the hold.
You could have told us sooner. Jeez.
Head to the control room. Got it. Oh shit. Oh. Handprints. Oh, I got a trophy. Scan 50 hidden handprints. Dude, I didn't know that was the thing. Hymns. Maybe zigzag all over the place. But there's there's a path over here. Jill, over here.
You're wondering why I've deployed Regia Solis?
Yes. What's got you spooked? Isn't it a little premature to call down the wrath of God?
Satellite targeting system. Enter authorization.
The time has come, O'Brien. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
Authorization approved. Firing laser.
Oh, my eye.
I've calculated how much time you have. Sending it now.
Oh boy.
Are we gonna make it?
My accuracy? No. Should I switch weapons? Is the time still going to be counting down when I do this? I think I'm good. Infighter? How much? 4. And days 2. What's infighter? Is that what did I make enemies fight each other? Is that what that means? Damage 4. Days 2. Wait. No. I like Colorado because legal weed and the weather's nice. Denver has some places that to live that aren't too bad in pricing, but Pueblo is way better in pricing. I like Michigan and Ohio because all the job opportunities are so cheap to live there most of the time. Sick.
Thanks for the recommendations. I'll definitely window shop some apartments in Missouri because it's cheap. How's the humidity? Well, I'm a little BB when it comes to humidity. Oh, this actually has some ammo on it. Oh, these all have a lot of ammo. Fires multiple bullets at once. Idiot! Don't all shotguns do that? It's infighting. I just want to see what it does. I think it causes enemies to fight each other. Firepower goes up as you. Oh, because infighting is what they call it in Doom, where demons start fighting each other. Firepower goes up as your distance from the target closes in under 4 meters. Maximum. It's not too bad. It's bearable. I know humidity because I'm in Florida and it's a peninsula surrounded by water, and it's much better than Florida. Like I said, I'm just a diva when it comes to that, but I feel it. Appreciate the information. There's always time to play with monsters. Pick up the fucking...
Don't screw up!
Parker, you suck. Thank you. I think you got him. Nope. Die, bitch! Oh my god, my ammo! Fucking die, please! Hey, Bloody, what up, dude? I'm running low on ammo and options and time.
Parker, we have very little time.
Bitch! Ah! Ah! Hope you're having a good night, bro. How far am I? I'm not that far. I better get going.
We're out of time.
Come on, you don't want to die here, do you?
Not really. I mean, it would be kind of a cool. Dude looks like Bill from Last of Us. He does. He does. He really does. What's up, niggas? What up, Jay? How you doing?
Hurry it up. We're out of time.
What's up, crackers? Yeah, I'm shooting zombies and monsters and looking at Jill's amazing butt. Oh, fuck, is this bitch again? We're going our way.
Don't you ever quit?
I know, right? Fuck you, Rachel. You bitch! You fellow bitch! How you doing, dude? You working tonight? Doing good? Hell yeah. I'm gonna blow up because I'm running out of time. As you do. Bye, Parker. Move. Move! I have less than a minute, bitch! Where is it? On the left? I don't think this is the right way, but it might be. Nope, other side. Shit. I'm so scared. I don't have time to kill. Fuck.
Sorry, but I don't have time to play with you.
15 seconds.
We're out of time.
No. No, I can do this. Rachel, no, you bitch. Rachel. I'm glad the Joker blew me up. No. Okay. Funny enough, that's only my second game over here. 2 minutes starting here. Oh, fuck you. I know. All right. Bitch.
Don't you ever quit.
She said, eh.
Where are the remote pilot controls?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, but I don't have time
Uh-oh.
to play with you.
Fuck. Parker, you got this, right?
We're out of time.
These are the controls. Come on, make
Got it. I think I did it. Wait, so are you working today, Jay? Or is your Friday? No, it's like your Saturday right now, isn't it? You're off Wednesdays and Thursdays? I forget. This game took place on a ship, right? So how many people are on the ship that got infected? I feel like there's more zombies than there were people to be infected with. That's how this always goes. I don't know, actually. Look up how much people would like, because this is a luxury liner. So it's not just crew, but it's also, you know, like civilians, guests, visitors, whatever you want to call those. This might actually be just about right. It's a pretty big ship. Like, it's a cruise ship, you know? And I always imagine those being packed. Like the Titanic. Bass. Ooh, nice. PSG1. What you need to help you on your adventure is a ship with a gorilla take down all the zombies. There you go. There you go. But here's the thing. This is Resident Evil, so it's only a matter of time before that gorilla gets infected and becomes a fucking problem, you know? That's the Resident Evil way. So if you're not a main character, then you're a monster at the end of the day. But maybe I don't know. I would like to believe that gorilla could be like Amy from Congo and be like, zombies, bad, you know, speaking sign language and shit.
On Resident Evil Revelations.
Looks like somebody's.
I think there's primate zombies. Resident Evil 0 has the fucking eliminators. Those goddamn like white chimp things. Those things piss me off. And then Outbreak 2, I know there's a zoo with an elephant. There might be some gorilla in there somewhere. In Resident Evil 1.5, there are deleted enemies that were supposed to be in there. They're basically gorillas. Or was that 3? I think the beta for 3 had gorilla enemies.
A new Veltro, perhaps a dozen of them.
Yes, there's the rub. Men like us can exist thanks to groups like that.
What would you name the gorilla, your boy? Harambe 2. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Damn, I have 5 more. Because there's 12 chapters. I was hoping to finish this tonight. I don't think I will. I'll probably finish this Friday. No, Friday is Resident Evil 6 day.
Immediate containment is imperative.
So like Monday, or maybe this weekend.
Too much is at stake here.
Sorry, I'm drinking a lot of beer. Get gassy. I didn't mean to skip it. Hold on, I didn't mean to skip it. I will quit, reload. I want to see the campaign. Here we go. This is fine. We skipped the previously. I want to know what's up. I probably named the gorilla Grog, like the one DC. Oh, Gorilla Grodd, yeah. Grodd, I think. Last time I saw Grodd was the Flash show, and then there is. I haven't played Justice League Heroes. Pretty good, like wannabe Marvel Ultimate Alliance for DC.
Feel free to cut the bullshit more.
There's a whole Grodd section there. That's pretty nice.
Fire again, but this time you will get burned.
Loose ends can only exacerbate the situation. Think twice, Director, or you may regret it.
Is that a threat?
Ah, boy.
Ah,
Never disappoint,
fuck.
Morgan. But once we have the truth, your mistakes will never be repeated.
I'm gonna be Herman. Herman's a good name. Herman's a good name.
Parker.
Yeah, time to clear out.
Uh-oh. Nice. I love that movie. I love that character. I know you're not a big Child's Play fan, but it's a lot of fun. And then you know what's one thing, Jay? I think you can get behind this. With horror, there's like an inherent appreciation of special effects, right? You can't deny how groundbreaking the fucking the animatronics and puppeteering for at least the early Chuckies were. Now I think they cut corners, but that shit still holds up in my opinion. Like watching him like phonetically say stuff, you know? Yeah, great effects. Yeah, I think they still hold up. I don't know if we're going the right way or not. Is there a make it out of the flood? Okay, so just go up. It's like that one movie. What was it? Poseidon Adventure? I never saw the remake. Just Poseidon? I never saw that one. Except when it's clearly a child in an outfit. Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it wasn't even a child. They hire little people to do it. Remember when Chucky killed Red Man in one movie? Yeah, that was Seed of Chucky, but we don't talk about Seed of Chucky.
No. Wait.
That's my reaction.
Wait.
When Seed of Chucky gets brought up. I'm working on it, Parker. No, now I think they do this thing where they'll have green screen, like people wearing green suits, and they'll just hold the Chucky model and like, you know, and it looks like a fucking doll being carried around. Like, I don't like it as much. I miss when it was like a dude, not a dude, but you know what I mean, like a armature with hydraulics or whatever, and there's like the big pipe behind him where they run all the cables through, you know. He was there. He had weight. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they do now. I don't know if we're going that way or not. Oh, I'm not. Oh, wait, what? There's a door over here? Oh, it's on the fucking... Oh, I gotta go down here. Look at the map, Joey. How do I dive? You excited to play Doom Eternal tomorrow? I think tomorrow. Imagine a crossover of Chucky versus the puppet from Puppet Master. You know what's funny? Everybody's always like, imagine Chucky and fucking the Leprechaun, which there's no contest. The Leprechaun would fuck him up. But Chucky versus Puppet Master, that's something else because that also deals with magic effectively and putting souls into dolls.
I can see that happening. Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah. I'm worried about, because like you were kind of like turning into a little fucking first-person master.
Listen carefully.
You think you'd be a little rusty? Because you're playing also like on the second hardest difficulty, if I remember correctly.
Jessica and I are heading for the Queen Zenobia. Just hang on. We'll contact you soon.
But I'm glad you're back on Doom. I know Bloody is. Can I just breathe forever? Or do I have like oxygen I have to worry about? Oh, there's enemies down here! Oh. Oh shit, it is open. Jill! Your perfect butt is blocking my view! We're gonna get wrecked. I'm sad to practice. Anyone remember the Doom movie with the Rock and Carl Urban? Who doesn't remember that movie? You remember the weird reboot thing that came out like 4 years ago? But yeah, you know what's funny? That movie sucks dick, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure, and it's just a of the time thing. I know it's not good. I don't even like it, really. I'll just throw it on, you know, while I clean. Jill best girl. Dude, Jill best ass right now. Where the fuck do I go? I'm scared to get grabbed by the monsters. I don't get grabbed by the ghoulies. Has anybody ever actually played that game? I never played Grabbed by the Ghoulies, but it's in like my mind sometimes. I guess I'm going this way. No! I think I'm going the right way. Alright. No, but it's probably good. Because that was, I think, the first game that Rare made after being acquired by Microsoft. And I think I've heard mixed things, but I don't really care what people say. You know, I like to play things for myself. A lot of good jank out there. Rare was at the top of their game. By that point, a lot of people would argue that that was like their decline. The only game by Rare that I really like was Conker's Bad Fur Day. I never played that one. I have a recreation or a reproduction cart, but I never played it myself. I'd like to. I like the idea of a vulgar N64 game. Fuck, they're everywhere. Am I going up or down? Ah! Fuck off! That was right after DK64 and Conkers. Nice. Did you like Conkers, Jay? And you like DK64. I know you like that one.
Chris.
Conker's Bad Fur Day was top tier.
But the ship is sinking fast.
Yeah, so your boy, I don't know if you know, but I've low-key been trying to get through all the Donkey Kong Country games. And Jay put it in my ear, I guess, that I should actually play DK64 for the first time after that. So I'm probably gonna do that somewhat soonish. Oh shit, there's a... I don't care. There's something down there, but I don't need it. I don't need it. I never played Conkers, but I love all the 64 games. Banjo 1 and 2, DK64, Diddy Kong Racing. Diddy Kong Racing is awesome. I think we disagreed on this one, but I think Paul agreed with me, which, you know, it's whatever. But I think I prefer Diddy Kong Racing over Mario Kart 64. But that's just... I like the flying. I liked the characters. The level design was pretty good. But I didn't realize that Rare actually made Diddy Kong Racing. Trust me, you'll be kicking yourself in the ass if you hold off playing Conker's Bad Fur Day. No, it's on my list. Like after I play DK64, it's gonna happen. But after I do that, if I'm still in for it, you know what's funny? I might actually do this. I might just cap off the Donkey Kong Country thing with DK64, and then I'll try because I think it was Banjo. What's the order? When did they come out? Because I'll do that. I'll be like Banjo conquers Banjo 2. Is that how it works? DK64 is my MK. Sorry, I thought it was a typo. Mario Kart 64 is my favorite Mario Kart. I'll take Diddy Kong over all the others, but not MK. Or yeah, Mario Kart 64. That's fair. That's fair. List of rareware games. So it would be DK64 racing. No, it wouldn't. It would. I'm gonna play it after 3 anyway, but after that it would be GoldenEye if I wanted to go that route. But it would probably be Banjo-Kazooie 1, then 2. I found my question. Banjo-Tooie, then Conker's. Conker's was their last one, I think, in that. And then they did Star Fox Adventures, which is basically Zelda, I think. Diddy Kong Racing did free roam driving around the map before Mario Kart World. Banjo 1 is my favorite rare game. Nice. Hey, Constructicons, how you doing, dude? Ad hoc, more like ADHD, am I right, fellas? Or ACDC, sorry. I forgot about Star Fox Adventures. It's okay. Yeah, I've heard good things. I heard it's barely a Star Fox game, but it looks like something I would enjoy. It looks worth playing. What up, Constructicons? Stuff. Yeah, I got stuff too. I don't know. That's probably the best answer that I've ever fucking heard. Just popped in to say hi to that. Oh, okay. Well, dude, you also... Was it you? Yeah, dude, you did it again! You did it again! Didn't you pop in to tell me about some Otter's birthday coming up? That was you, right? Yeah, okay. I love that. I hope you're having a great night doing your stuff. A little earlier, Mediterranean Sea.
We're approaching the Queen.
Well, I hope you have fun. I'll see you later, Constructicon.
Roger. We'll be waiting.
Okay.
One day I'm gonna stream the rest of Fall of Cybertron, and then Transformers on PS2. You'll see. He's already gone, but you'll all see.
Oh, jeez. More like what's left of her.
Rachel, I feel like your outfit right now would be a write-up. Just saying.
Stay sharp. There's something out there.
Like, what's the reason behind that besides looking hot? It's like, oh, I can fucking dropkick motherfuckers with ease. Oh god. I'm about to use my fucking mouse. Oh, the sensitivity! Okay, use the controller. That's what you're used to. That's what you know. Oh shit, I got rockets?
Going around, hang on.
Oh god. I see enough hentai to know where this is going. Something's definitely up because of that outfit. Something's up because of that outfit. I gotcha. No, it's working. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it doesn't really strike me as standard issue. It's so her tactical labia can slip out. I suck. It's like Tremors. Dude, there should be a Tremors on like the water movie. Where's that? I keep watching these movies. I think they're done now, but I don't know. Oh shoot! Okay, I was fucking. I was on
It was overheated. Well, if you talk about Jill's outfit, then you also have to mention Ada Wong's outfit with the dress that has a slit all the way up her hip. I mean, her thing, I guess I can get behind because it's not really a uniform. It's just a dress she wears, right? It's still stupid, but you know. And then even then, I think in 4, she explicitly not explicitly, but directly cuts off the long dress, so she almost has like a cut off dress by the end. So she can do all these flippy, you know, split kicks and shit. This girl modified her wetsuit to have her leg exposed. So not only is she battling hypothermia, but me trying to get in there. Where the enemies at? That's a big fucking ship.
Need a good spot to board the Zenobia.
I'd rather get my hip all the way up to her slit if you catch my drift. I got you. Nice. Ada was up there.
We can board from here.
Yeah, 'cause she's more of like a freelance operative. This bitch is employed.
Great. A cruise, just the two of us. Only the whole thing is sinking.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Your exposed thighs.
Now I will reveal what I know. Everything about the Queen Zenobia.
Resident Evil is anime, you know?
What secrets?
Consider this. First, why did it take till now to find the Queen Zenobia? How was it able to float around the Mediterranean undetected? It wasn't magic. Second,
Is that Hunk? No, no, it's not Hunk.
traces of Veltro vanish after the Terra Grigia panic?
Why don't you tell us, huh?
And third, why is someone
One
trying to
day.
use the Regia Solis to
One
destroy
day.
the Zenobia?
Look at Hunk as like, maybe not a playable character, but like a main one. A supporting character, you know?
You were to have found
Rather than being relegated to a fucking minigame. Not Hunk, no!
Jessica.
Hey, Rach.
Why
Oh, it's
did you
Jessica.
fire?
To protect our people.
I've been calling this bitch Rachel the entire time.
Don't you dare.
No, Hunk should never be confirmed canon. He is confirmed canon. He's just not playable and stuff.
Why? Why play the part of Veltro?
Right? I thought I was under the impression that he's canon. He's just not like well explored and playable stuff.
Do you mean?
You sure about that? You sure
I'm
about
not.
that?
I'm actually doubting now.
After the thing that happened to me, no one could look at me without dying laughing? You sure about that?
But I've always operated under the premise that he is a canon character. I do like him how he is now, just in the shadows. Like I said, relegated to mini games, but I thought he was a canon character. Hunk is playable in Operation Raccoon City. Operation Raccoon City is 100% not canon. Yes, Hunk is considered a canon character within the Resident Evil series, but his role is primarily narrative, especially in the early games. He is a sole survivor of numerous Umbrella missions, often tests. Yeah, I know who he is. You're right, according to the interwebs. Oh, okay, okay. While he appears in non-canon minigames and bonus modes, his primary significance lies in his narrative role in the main Resident Evil stories. Okay, cool. Yeah.
The ship doesn't have much
All right.
longer. We can't let this virus
And
contaminate
yeah,
the
he's
sea.
playable in Operation Raccoon City,
We've already searched the Queen Samaritan.
but Operation Raccoon City is super not canon.
We're headed there now.
That game takes the canon and fucking...
I'll try to find a way to.
I was gonna find something I want to throw, but I don't want to.
Jessica, with me?
You get the point.
Yeah.
Dude, Jessica got some DSLs.
A little friendly partner swapping should keep us on our toes.
Ah,
Roger that.
swinging.
Take care of the virus. You two buy us some time.
Got it.
Jill, this works anywhere, even underwater.
Thanks for checking, though, Jay.
Slow those things down.
Thanks.
When's the Resident Evil game where you play as Barry the whole game? The only game where you play as Barry the whole game is Resident Evil Gaiden, but on Game of Color. but there's a direct sequel. Well, direct sequel. There's Resident Evil Revelations 2, where you play as Barry in 50% of the game. Barry is a traitor piece of shit. Barry's fine. Never forgive. Yeah. Barry is kind of a bitch. I think I spent like my entire remake playthrough talking shit to him about too. But sorry, to answer your boy, the sequel to this, Resident Evil Revelations 2, there are two kind of campaigns happening. Like you play them concurrently almost, but like, okay. You play as Claire Redfield and Barry's daughter, Moira, and then like that's a whole storyline you're doing, and then at the same time it's episodic, right? So you play as them, and then you jump to like 3 months in the future, I think, of Barry and some little bitch named Natalia looking for them. So in that one you play as Barry like through half the game.
Makes sense.
Barry's trying his best, okay? Is this where I came from, or is this where I'm going? Where'd you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? This is totally the wrong way. All right. Jay, you should get back to Resident Evil. Trying his best to be a piece of shit. You should play Resident Evil again. You should stream it. He betrayed Best Girl. Yeah, he betrayed everybody. Oh, damn, it is this way then. All right, fine. I didn't realize I had to actually do that. But let me check my ammo and shit. I'm not doing great. Damage 3, fire rate 3. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can upgrade these. I got damage 3, firing rate 2. Okay. I do want to get back to Resident Evil. Maybe after Doom Eternal. What do you got? Like, what's your queue like? Like, if you were to get into Resident Evil, are you doing just mainline? Are you doing spin-offs too? Because me, even though like, because you know, I started wanting to do all these, I still am, but I have video game ADD or something, so it's like I get distracted and I gotta keep it fresh, you know. But I'm enjoying it, and like I said to Cyber, there's no timeline or time limit here. Everyone likes Albert, but he's a traitor to the stars. He's a traitor to the human race, dude. In 5, he's talking like scorched earth, like he was gonna destroy everything. And just let Ouroboros reign. I do want to get back to Resident Evil, maybe after Doom Eternal. Probably just mainline, but it would include both originals and remakes, and I would do Revelations games. Nice. Would you do Code Veronica? As I know it's not numbered, but I consider Code Veronica a mainline entry. No more. The real RE3, yeah. Yes, I love CV. Hell yeah, dude.
Hurry, we can cut through the bilge to get to the lab.
Careful. The water is infested with infected.
Roger that.
I like how she tells him now, after we've been swimming through monster-infested waters. Oh boy. Oh shit. No! No! Open the fucking door. Okay. What's the Resident Evil game with the guy in the black tank top and the one girl they're trapped in the train? Zero. It's good. I have it on GameCube. It's good, not great. After my recent playthrough, I actually think it's probably one of my least favorites of the mainline series, at least. I like the train area, so that's always fun to go back to, but I think after that, it really does become a slog. I really do think that game is a victim to its fucking inventory system. I like the idea, but I'm convinced if they gave Billy and Rebecca just 2 more fucking inventory slots each, it would have been way easier, or way better. Good, not great is fair. Not one of the best, but I still beat it like 3 times. I think I beat it about 3 times too, dude. That sounds about right. I think I beat it 3 times. Maybe 4? Fucking bitch! I wish. Can I shoot underwater? No.
lab's just up ahead.
Oh shit. Oh dude, Chris, you scared the shit out of me. I think I gotta go down there, but right. Have you played this one before, Jay? Have you played Revelations before? Damn it, I do gotta go back in the water. All right. I'm looking, never played either Revelations. I'm looking forward to them. I think Revelations 2 is pretty underrated. Like, I think they're both, no, I wouldn't say the best versions of it, but like, because you know how like by that era, Resident Evil was either trying to be super scary or super action. I think the Revelations games are a nice mix of both. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was around RE6, right? Yeah, it was. I think RE6 pissed everybody off, and then they were trying to get in good faith.
Found that key on the Semiramis.
I think Revelations 2 was a nice return to form. This game was fantastic on 3DS. And then yeah, fucking The Prodigal Son 7 came out. I think it's delisted, but I do have Operation Raccoon City, and that is very soon on my list of games to stream. Also, seeing as how it's about to be completely shut down, I'm gonna play Reverse soon. I'm not gonna enjoy it. I'm not excited for it, but it will be out soon. First, hey, what up, Devilf? How you doing, man? I think I owned this on 3DS, and I played less than an hour because playing games like this on 3DS was awful. You just don't like handhelds, which is fine. I think you like you don't like the DS, but I thought it played really well. I'm surprised at how well it played, considering it's a 3D game on 3DS. I think it looks good on the 3DS. It's literally the same game. I don't have baby hands. It's difficult. Yeah, you got little big man hands. I'm like, remember those Burger King commercials? It was like, I can't eat a Whopper. I have tiny hands. It's like, that's me. They're not that small. I mean, they are small. They're still in the realm of male, I like to imagine. But dude, so I went to one of my friends had a birthday party a couple weeks ago, and he wanted to theme it emo. So I'm in the kitchen getting ready to cook and stuff, and I think I was like pouring some drinks for people, and he was like, my boy Chaz, he was like, hey, let me see your hands. So I was like, fine. I gave it to him. Started fucking painting it in black. I was like, oh no, what are you doing? But I looked at it. Because you know, some like black people, they have like long fingernails. Dude, it looked so effeminate. I hated it so much. Like more so than normal painted fucking fingernails. But I have like the long fingernails, so it looked like I just like bitch hands. Montpellier Marine University conducted research via unmanned submersibles during the fourth expedition of the Kermadec Trench. At 9,000 meters, a new type of super deep sea predatory fish was discovered. The deep seas have a unique effect on living organisms, but this creature, in addition to its usual tolerance to high pressure, displayed unbelievable degree of mobility and ferocity not usually found in such depths. What surprised us after examination, what was this? Baby hands, painted nails, always looked effeminate on dudes, modern style is weird. No, I only did it for the lulz, and like I said, it was an emo party. Like we were all doing the whole like, because tonight will be the night, you know? So it's not a regular occurrence, but I looked at it and I was like, ugh. Not doing that again. But surprised us after examining the fish was that these unique traits were not native to the fish's biology, but were caused by a viral infection. Owing to the unfathomable nature of this virus, we decided to give it the name The Abyss. I like that movie. We will continue to research it. We must find out why it takes the large fat and water reserves of the deep sea fish, which are suited to high pressure, low oxygen, high temperature depths, and turns them into high density bone and muscle structures that are not usually found in organisms who live in deep sea inhabitants. Satter, wait, what? Are you trying to appropriate my culture? Shatter. Oh, do you paint your nails? No, I wasn't trying to appropriate it. I mean, I guess technically for that day I was. Now that you mention it. But it was just an emo party, and everybody was like, I think one dude did it, and then I didn't realize what was happening. He was like, let me see your hands, and I saw it, and I was like, ah, sure. Just fucking, and I looked at it and I was just like, never again. Also, you're the first person to call me Shatter. I kind of like it. It's always shattered, you know? If we can successfully develop a working BOW, we will have moved research in this field light years ahead. It is important to note blood transmission of the virus happens in 99.76% of all cases to date. In rare cases, some test subjects do not become infected if they take the virus orally, perhaps because it is diluted. We will do all we can to improve the effectiveness of this virus and redouble our efforts. The rest of the paper is faded and illegible. What's the point of being in here? Is there... Because tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. Over again. Fingerprint recognition. Let me fuck in. What do you want me to do? What if you take the virus anally? That would probably do it. That would probably do it. Oh yeah, it's right here.
Registering fingerprint.
Like, jokes aside, I imagine that being like almost a guaranteed infection.
Fingerprint registration complete.
Right, what do you think, Bongo Cat? Yeah. Wait, from personal experience, what are you talking about, dude? Oh, wow. Also, hold on, let me see what you got. What'd you get? What'd you get, lad? Nya! Oh, that's a cute! Alright, we're doing Nya. Shit. Nya! Alright. Should I get... Yeah, let me get one more beer. One more beer, and then we're good. And we're back. Hey y'all, it's your boy Shattered.
Please enter the sterilization room one at a time.
No.
Now sterilizing. Please wait.
Cause tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. Over again. I'm waiting for it. Where are the monsters at? Oh boy. It's William Birkin. Oh, it looks like the dude from
Jill! Emergency.
Can I run? No. Are there gonna be lasers? Probably not. That'd be cool though.
Disposal has been terminated. Please wait for the gates to open.
I do like the laser hallway. I was actually just saying in Jay's stream, I think that's one of, if not the best sequence of that first movie. Oh shit, motherfucker. Got he. Okay. Can I even kill it? I feel like I can. That's what I like about Resident Evil also. It's like the way I said it before, it's like it really is just like a story of madmen and their monsters, you know? And then the cops and babes that have to fucking deal with them. This oh shit. Okay, alright. I was having fun with that. I punch him? Yeah! And oh shit! That was cool. That was really cool. Had the mixture of survivors. Hold on. There was a game on Steam I used to play called ZM. It stood for Zombie Master. It was a fun game. It had a level like the RE1 movie. It had a mixture of survivors where a first-person shooter, the Zombie Master, was a RTS, planting zombies everywhere and setting traps. Are you talking about Resident Evil Resistance? Because there's the Game Master. Oh no, but it wasn't a first person. Okay, so yeah, you're talking about ZM, which I never heard of. I gotta look that up. It's called Zombie Master. I'll have to look that up. But it sounds a lot like Resident Evil Resistance. Sounds like RE Resistance. Yeah, it does. Hey, what up, Davey? How you doing, dude? Yeah, because that one, it's asymmetrical multiplayer. We have 4 survivors, and you have one ran off Gary's mod engine. Hey, Shattered. Nice. I have to look that up though. But I'm just, it's different. But if you don't know, Resident Evil Resistance is that. So it's 4 survivors, 1 game master, I think is what they called it, or mastermind. And yeah, they had to escape. And you're planting zombies and traps and stuff, locking doors and stuff, and they had to deal with it. That sounds fun though. ZM sounds fun. I'll have to look that up. How you doing, Davey? How's your night going? Are you a RE fan, Davey? Nah. One of my favorite levels on there was the recreation of the whole Shaun of the Dead movie. The whole movie?
Good cover. Who would ever suspect it?
Good point.
I love Shaun of the Dead a lot. Like, it's at least in my top 10 zombie movies. It might be in my top 5. Wanted to sub, but I've gone over my monthly limit. I'll reshuffle because some subs I haven't seen stream in ages. Oh, dude, I appreciate that, but you don't have to. Honestly, you being here, just hanging out. That's all I want, really. I like the chit chat. But I do appreciate that. That's a very nice sentiment. I'm doing good. How about you? I'm doing alright. I'm back to work now because I was on PTO Monday and Tuesday, and it went away. It went okay. But it's been a fairly chill week so far. I just want to try streaming this, finishing this, and then Lemon Wedges. Me and him are probably gonna finish Resident Evil 6 tomorrow. No stream tomorrow. Friday. Tomorrow I'm watching Thunderbolts, so no stream. And then next week, Jay sounds super down. We're gonna play Obscure. I'm just looking forward to getting through some horror. Oh yeah, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Hey, do you have a favorite one? I know, I get it, but I'm also a big fan of the movies. They're dumb movies. They're bad Resident Evil movies, but I think they're just fun, goofy fun, you know? Fuck, I did it again. I forgot to save. Sorry, I'm drinking beer, so I'm very gassy right now.
Resident Evil Revelations.
Have you played them all? I don't know, Davey, if you know this, but I'm trying to stream every Resident Evil ever.
Everything about the Queen Zenobia and the secrets she keeps.
What secrets?
Spin-offs and everything.
Why did you fire?
Raymond? Why?
There you are. That's very cool, dude. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed or saw it before, but I actually have overlays dedicated to this. So we got this one.
So this is the secret of Zenobia.
Oh shit! Oops. Oh no! I have to adjust this one too. Damn it! Die Hard ruined everything, bro. I was streaming Die Hard and it just fucked up like my resolution for everything. But I could do this one if I want, and then let me see if I can turn off the Elgato source. Ugh. Yeah, dude, everything got fucked up. When I tried streaming Die Hard on Christmas, and never again. That game fucked everything up. My favorite is Resident Evil 2, the original one, I assume. I assume we're talking about the original. Hey. Let me go back to this one though.
Wow. Whoa, it's amazing.
Resident Evil 2 is a solid choice. That's a lot of people's favorite. I kind of go back and forth of which one I like more, original or 2. But my favorite Resident Evil itself.
So what the hell did you do?
I've played just the original one significantly more than every other entry. But I also really love the remake of 1, which I think is like the best remake we've ever gotten. So I don't know. Like as far as my first, like it's my #1 Resident Evil, I want to say to die. I love the original and I love the remake of 1.
This blows.
The upside is this whole conspiracy is becoming clearer. We have to get back to the airport on the double.
3-minute break, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't even see the heads up for that.
Nobody's home. Even the other team's packed it in. So what are we doing here?
It's okay. I set up a back door. I can use any PDA to get us in.
Well, why didn't you say that earlier?
If my theory is correct, then the truth about Veltro is really too early to say.
Are you kidding me?
I don't want to jump to conclusions. I need more intel.
All right, let's find that computer.
There's an area we haven't explored over here. My only hope is that it has a high-powered CPU. That would be tits.
That'd be tits. Oh my god. I hate these guys. Actually, the guy I'm playing right now, he's not so bad. It's the fucking Ted Raimi over there. He's pissing me off. Is he holding a rifle with one hand like a pistol? Probably. Let's see. I actually didn't notice. I was busy laughing at the cringe dialogue he's spitting out. Oh shit.
It's a BOW. I knew Veltro was the ball.
They haven't been the whole time.
What? Who cares? Just shoot, goddammit!
Use a shotgun.
There's someone they didn't want around if Veltro came back. So they had to shake this up. No, now's not the time for conspiracy theories.
Doesn't tell me anything about the location of the terminal. Then why is this room here? Nice. Free. Come on. Oh yeah, this is the room I was in when I accidentally scanned something and it made it to where I just proceeded. Imagine if they made a Resident Evil game where all the zombies were taken care of and you played the person cleaning up the city and there was no action like the other games. Oh, dude, that'd be kind of cool. Like if you played as Terra Save, just the aftermath of an outbreak. Like, what's it called? Cleanup Crew, but Resident Evil. I'd be down for that. Looks like a piece of a manifesto. Destiny and I do not mean to sound flippant. Destiny, and I do not mean to sound flippant, is made before we even get a say and is the will of a higher power. The Imperium will not be cursed. It is their destiny to be torn apart by the fangs of the hounds. I cannot spare sympathy for the victims of this world. They are the ones who created it. It is the same world that robbed this dog of its bite. No longer will I howl. I will sharpen my fangs. No longer will I roar. I will sharpen my claws. All of our comrades are waiting for the time when they will sacrifice themselves to the cause. Only the hounds are pure of purpose, and it is only they who may purge the world. We do not hunt alone. We hunt in packs. We are Veltro. Earl Brindvico. I'd be down to play a game like that. Like, I think you're saying as a joke, but I think it's not a bad idea. Maybe it is. I don't know, but I would play it. It's that invisible creature here too. That's not how I wanted to go out. I'm gonna go out being strangled by Jill Valentine's thighs in this game in particular. That sounds like a lot of alpha bro talking. That message about hounds. Yeah, it does. All right, we are the alphas. The alphas do not answer to the sigmas, or whatever the fuck they call them.
Gadgets like a flight of horse shit.
Isn't there like a sigma male thing? Isn't that what they're trying to get going? I forget. I don't know. I don't listen to that bullshit.
What the hell?
I feel like if you have to brag about being an alpha, you're not an alpha.
What did you do, Quinn?
It's not me.
Cringe.
I need more power. The MB-28's a real gas guzzler. There's gotta be a generator around
Oh
here.
shit. I see.
Okay.
Well, maybe I don't want the sniper rifle.
Time with your girlfriend.
Yo, I ain't got that Sigma grind set. No, I got the Ligma grind set. Wait a minute, grind set. Motherfucker, you see me working my fucking ass to the bone. All I know is the grind set, bruh. I'm dying. I'm gonna get rid of the handgun, the shotgun. Honestly, let me get rid of the shotgun. The shotgun doesn't. Oh, whoa. Oh. There's the shotgun. We are no wait, hold on. We are alphas, no soy boy betas allowed. Keep telling yourself that. Some mods for Jill in the RE3 remake were rather cool, I must say. You know, I've seen some. They're pretty great. I'm tempted to do a stream with just goofy mods like that on. What? Okay, I don't want the shotgun for sure. I'll take this. And you're always working because you can't say no. It's not the Sigma grind set. Well, I do it mostly out of necessity. I just refuse to have roommates, and it's expensive in Vegas. Oh, just one shot? Dang. Where's the one where she's in minimal clothing? Oh, and very pleasant. Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. I saw one of basically lingerie. I've seen some nudes. If you could think it, it exists. There's Rule 42. Rule 42, is that what it is? Rule 43? One of those for Resident Evil mods. Should I just keep this? Let me see the rifle. Yeah, maybe the rifle and then this one. I should be okay. I should be okay. Let me see what's over here first. I saw some sparkling. I don't love the new Jill design, but at least she's not tired like Claire. You leave my baby alone. Magnum. Ooh, I'll do the Magnum. Magnum over rocket launcher any day. There's a moment where Mr. X is Thomas the Train. Yeah, there is. There's that. I've seen the Wendigos from Until Dawn. I saw.
Here we go.
Oh shit! What did I do?
Crap works.
I've seen Pyramid Head. I
Fully charge the MB-28. Are there any other generators?
think I've seen DMX also. That noise Homeboy just made when he pulled that lever reminds me of the pufferfish. You know, the oh. You know what I'm talking about? Oh.
So you get anything? No, I gotta get through the layers of encryption.
Mr. X is nothing like leather. Wait, hold on. Mr. X in like nothing but a leather thong is an image I'll never get out of my head. That sounds about right. Just gonna hang out in the corner.
I'm on it. Leave these guys to me.
Mr. X gonna give it to you. Oh shit! Oh shit! My corner's not safe. No! Oh shit! Bitch!
The FBC? What are you talking about? Hacking into their secret server.
You know with FPC? Now yo, you know me.
This attack proves they're involved. I'm telling the truth here. You gotta give me time to get the whole engine out.
Reloading. I reload too often. Alright, now. Oh, no.
How much longer?
Let's see, 28% finished.
28?
Your girlfriend is the slowest. You know that, Quint?
That's not called for. Oh shit, this gun sucks. It's of accuracy. Sorry. Oh man. Oh Jesus.
What now?
The buffering is dropping like a stone. I think one of the Jennings is out.
Quint, did that do it? Good now?
Yeah, all good. Thanks.
Oh shit. Well, that works.
Okay, we're in it to win now.
A lot of enemies today.
Thanks for the report, Captain Obvious.
They must have been alerted when I tried to hack my way in. You gotta hold them off.
I will. You're gonna owe me big time. How much longer? You don't know how much to throw.
Just that 80%.
These are the worst BSA agents.
It's another invisible monster. Watch out. Be careful.
Shit, this is enough to make a grown man cry.
I can hear him. Got ye. Another one over there. What?
It's done. 100%, baby.
Promise?
Finally. We still got hostiles to deal with.
Right. Don't let them get this data. Good luck.
Thanks. I'll kill some for you.
Just
And
haven't
keep
done,
that
bitch.
genie in the bottle until I come
Fuck.
back.
Okay, I think it's safe to have a look at this data now. Ready?
Hold your
Sure.
horses. I'll be there in a sec.
Kakuri knives, like the ones you use to slice zombies, are badass. Kakuri, did I say that right? I used to have one, and I wish I still had it. I've never held one, but they do look pretty badass.
Right, that explains.
Isn't that what Alice is using in the third Resident Evil movie, Resident Evil Extinction?
Yeah, probably. There's only one way to find out. Let's ask him ourselves.
This is Forkball. O'Brien here.
Huh? What the hell? O'Brien's our man?
Director O'Brien. I think I put it all together. Veltro was never back in action. It was all smoke and mirrors, orchestrated by yourself.
Yeah, she used the same knife. Nice, cool. Ah, we figured it out, you motherfucker.
You pretty much got it. I'm glad I'm not paying you for nothing.
I analyzed his log, sir, and there's something you may want to see.
Let's pronounce
Let me see it.
Kukari.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll send it immediately.
Kukari. I think I said Kukari, like with like a C-U-H, but Kukari.
That's an error. Oh,
Like that,
we've been
Kukari?
detected.
Kukari.
We're two boys uncovering secrets.
You playing anything right now, Jay? You just hanging out?
No man. You want to die with your machines, idiot? Dude, hold up. I'm on.
Oh, let the big head guy die. Did these guys die? I don't think they die. I think they live. Oh, there. I just installed Expedition 2 3. Probably gonna play that. Dude, I want to play that so bad. You should stream that. No, don't stream it, because then I won't watch a stream, because I'll be like, no spoilers. I like them because of the way they are shaped like a boomerang. They put more force in the swing. Yeah, that looks cool. Like it leads into it. It also looks like the kind of thing that like a Somalian pirate would hit me with, which is like terrifying, right? Not gonna go straight into another long RPG. Fair. Actually, how long is this one supposed to be? Do you know? Like how long to beat say? I could do one more. No clue. Okay. I'll Google it. Boots. I like how it's not zipped up, like she's spilling out, or she just wants the world to know. She's like, these enemies have to know I'm top heavy. That's what Jill's saying. They're not really Somali. No, I know. I just meant like it looks like there's something that they would hit me with. They would probably hit me with a fucking machete. But I just mean it just looks like something like that, you know? Oh, cool. Here. Nothing. Hey, thanks, buddy. They go in here now? No. Go over here. Yeah. I actually got one of those knives after I saw that Resident Evil movie. Oh, is that what prompted you to actually get it? That's pretty cool. Have locking mechanism. Completion of the new type virus. The T-Abyss virus contains genetic material from both the Abyss and the T-Virus. In and of itself is not much of a threat, but has allowed us to lay the groundwork for the study of weaponized marine viruses. I fear, however, that my name will someday be known for assisting with the production of the world's most terrible weapon. If a concentrated liquid form of the virus were to be released in large enough areas of the sea, our data indicate that it would contaminate all the world's oceans in a very short time, starting with bacteria at the point of contamination and then causing a chain reaction that would impact all forms of sea life. Once the T-Abyss virus contaminates an area within the sea, it will cause mutations at the genetic level to all life forms in the area. It would be impossible to predict the severe ecological impact on humanity. I have doubts as to whether the research I'm doing is actually to prevent bioterrorism and biohazard outbreaks, or cause it. Dang, I was like looking right at it too. Nice. If the virus is infected all the world's ocean, that would be terrible and terrifying because there's so many fish that we don't even know about. True. It's like we'll be killed by like a giant fucking, like a real kraken. The kraken will get infected and kill us all. Hentai's wet. Dream. Nice. Veltra Agents Journal 2. 2004. Mission elapsed time 2+ days. The mission was a success. Terra Grigia is now a full-blown hell on Earth. We unleashed the ultimate virus to rend the city with terror and violence. The FBC sent its soldiers, but they were like lambs before lions. We have achieved our goal. Yes! The world will know that they do not have to wait for hell. It's already here. Open your eyes, world. Open your eyes to the truth. Bernard Cordy. 2004. Mission elapsed time 5 days. The ship has been contaminated. The virus has turned my comrades into horrible monsters, and these monsters turned everyone else into monsters. Why is this happening? Where are we going to bring? Are we going to bring hell to the masses? Have not hell brought to us? Wait, not have hell brought to us. My bad. I can't read. The same thing is happening at the Semiramis. I don't know, whatever it's fucking. The other Queen Zenobia. The virus has contaminated all the ships. It cannot be coincidence. Someone is using us all along. They play us like a goddamn fiddle. But who? None of us would ever betray Veltro. The only one who would do this was our mysterious financier. He's the only one who's not here. Norman, we need your guidance. Deliver us from this evil. The rest of the paper's missing. Where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? I don't know. I don't know what they're like saying half the time. But that song is a staple. You pay respect. No, I'm just kidding. I fucking hate that song. Oh shit. Yo, monster. I'm gonna open one of these and I'm gonna get attacked. But first of all, what did Bongo Cat get? Nice little devil. Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do the little devil ears, devil head thing. Oop. There you go. Where is it? There it is. Yeah. One of these monsters is gonna attack me. This one. Yep. Where's the other? There it is. Magnum ammo. This totally looks like an area I'm gonna fight a boss. Tell me I'm gonna fight a boss without telling me I'm gonna fight a boss.
Does it work?
We need a passcode to activate the neutralizing agent.
Okay, I'll sweep the lab, see what I can find.
Good. Need some time to figure out these controls. I cracked the code on the door. Opening it now. Careful.
Thanks.
In there.
Will do. You
Thanks,
can count on it.
Batch. Oh, it's Sinners again. Shit. Oh, what the fuck? With no depth perception when I'm like this locked in. What? Oh, wait, what? Can't get to him. Oh. No, y'all. Oh, there, Deadwolf. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. You coming to see Thunderbolts with us? You better. Excuse me. Can't get what he's holding yet. God damn.
Who knows what kind of BOWs we're up against?
Peace out, Deadwolf. Oh shit. Damn. Dead. Dead. Another one. Alright, get down here, motherfucker. Here, let me scan him twice. Bitch. Oh shit, that's close. That was pretty close. Oh, nice. Oh, nope, not yet. Stay down, motherfucker. Let me check what's here first. Oh, nice. There's custom parts right there, but I can't get to it. All right. Oh, actually, wait. Let me go back in that room. I didn't scan it. Stuff in here, of course. I'll backtrack. I'll come back that way, of course. Device used for inoculations. Okay. Oh yeah, you put your arm in there. What do you need a device? Just fucking little fucking. Yeah. Sick. Press the button. Yeah. All right, go back, fight some enemies, because you know goddamn well they. Yeah. Oh shit. What'd I get? What'd I get? Infection log of the Queen Zenobia. Researcher Ryan. ID bleh. 2004. After the final note was playing in the tragedy known as the Terra Grigia Panic, we seized the ship and began to carry out our mission quickly and secretly. The Regia Solis destroyed the city. Now this ship is the only place where we can observe the spread and mutation of the T-Abyss along with the ancillary research. It's the perfect environment to conduct research and we must make the most of it. The only setback is the host infected with the T-Abyss virus. This will make research very difficult for us. It will not last long as a place of research, and the science before the entire place is overwhelmed with creatures. We must act quickly. Our research on the virus has proceeded rather smoothly, and we were able to develop a proper vaccine. With all our goals accomplished, there is no longer any need for this ship. We have decided to abandon it. A few members of our team did not survive long enough to see this moment, but that is the cost of doing research. Nice. We were told Lansdale about when we told Lansdale about the breakthrough of the vaccine. He showed uncharacteristic. I'm
tired of all these motherfucking zombies on my motherfucking boat.
Thanks, your boy. Something scribbled in after an area where the pages are running out. As soon as the research data was sent, the doors to the facility were shut and the BOWs awakened from their cryogenic sleep. I understand how it could have missed seeing that Velcro. I keep calling it say Velcro. Wasn't the only disposable pawn in this. Almost funny, really. Now I see it now as it. I see now that it was he who arranged for all these things to come to pass. He gave the terrorists the T-Abyss virus, which led to the Terra Grigia Panic, that gave us lots of valuable data on infection, which led to the eventual development of the vaccine. And thanks to the position of authority, he used the Regia Solis to eradicate the virus. The terrorists and all the fools in that city, any traces or link to us vanished with it. The end result, however, is that the world is now afraid of the virus and the FBC's charter has been strengthened and expanded. I am awestruck with the degree of perfection with which Lansdale orchestrated all these events. This is one for the history books to be sure. Hopefully, the demand for the vaccine will bring the rest of us accolades and riches we justly deserve. Now that I'm thinking about it, when you mispronounced the knife's name, it could have used TTS to show you how it's pronounced. Oh, do it now. Do it now. Do it now and let me know if they're saying it right.
Chris, you're not going to believe what I just learned. Morgan Lansdale of the FBC was behind the attacks on Terra Grigia.
So that's what Raymond was talking about.
Seems like it. All I have is circumstantial evidence. Nothing to nail him for it yet.
Can't go forward. I can't go back yet. Can we go back here? All right. Did I pick up the virus? Is that what I picked up too? Is he still blinking? I got it. I think it wants me to go back in here. Because I can't really backtrack through the lasers, you know? Am I supposed to inoculate myself? So. Yep.
Cookery.
Cookery? Can you imagine if this wasn't the vaccine and I just fucking got infected? Now, if this vaccine really works, I hope so too, girl. Wait. Now, what happens if I push that button again, though? Also, what's this?
Downloading data. Please wait.
It didn't even pronounce it right. Yeah, I had a feeling it wouldn't. Oh, shit.
Download complete.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn.
Jill, come in. Do you read me? Answer me, damn it. This is an emergency. Get back here now.
Easier said than done, motherfucker. Oh, shit. Are these all... Ah, fuck. Can I go above it? I can, idiot. Okay. Can't see. I can't see. Why is the water dookie color? Because it's infected with the T-Abyss virus. And I took damage. I don't even know if I'm going the right way, you know? Nope. Ah, no, Jill! I'll try that again. Took my third death. Damn it. I was on a roll too. Alright, let's do it again. Again! I gotta do this shit again too? Hey, buddy. Buddy, give yourself a shout out.
Downloading data.
If you want.
Please wait.
Everybody, Bloody is literally one of my best friends. My brother in arms. And he's a fantastic streamer. A lot of first-person shooters. Oh, thanks, Jay. The bloody bastard.
Download complete.
A lot of first-person shooters. I think a lot of Rainbow Six Siege in particular. But he's a wonderful streamer. Even though he didn't get the shout out he deserves. Give him a follow if you haven't already. Jay Conquered is also a hilarious streamer. He's a variety streamer. He actually went through all the Castlevania games, and I think he's slowly but surely going through all the Shin Megami Tensei games.
Jill, come in. Do you read me?
Give yourself a shout out too, Jay.
This is an emergency. Get back here now.
Yeah, he has a new computer. He's about to get back to Doom Eternal, which I'm excited for. How do you get out of here? Oh, there's air right here. God damn it. Idiots. Hold on, I want the parts that I saw over here though. No audio on the shout out? No audio? You guys didn't hear it? Jay lied, he said he would play today. He did, but Shin Megami Tensei 3 took longer. There's really no audio? I can hear it. You guys can't hear it?
Alright, I'm
here.
playing this game. Fuck this game.
You can't hear it at all?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he beat it today, so he'll be playing tomorrow. Epic shoutouts is on monitor only, but I have my desktop audio going, so you guys should be able to hear it. I hear it, but it's low. Here, let me give you a shout out, Jay. Don't do it. I got you. My audio is always fucking up. It's annoying. Can you guys hear this? I can boost it if I need. You can hear now? Okay, okay. My bad, dude. It was lowered. I don't know why it was lowered. Oh yeah, this was Portrait of Ruin? I don't hear it. Oh shit. Here, I can. No, I can. I see the desktop audio, but it is quiet. I'll boost it. Sorry about that. Here, I'll fix it. I'll add a filter and I'll boost the gain. That's the first time. I haven't had that issue before. My bad, guys. Here, we had like 15. Let's see how this goes. I don't want it to be too loud, but let's see. Shout out, ya boy 92. Your boy, I'm older than you. Oh, did I spell that wrong? Oh, it's with an H. Shout out, ya boy 92. How's that? Is it too loud now? What do you guys think? Just right. One day I'm gonna finish. It's good now. Okay, okay, good.
I don't know. He has the high ground. He might win.
Yeah, you guys are already here, but I'm doing it anyway.
I'm too good. Can't be contained. What's the line from Major Payne? You mean to tell me? And now this military, you have no use for a man-made weapon of destruction.
I like how I'm echoing.
British, so I'll probably say something like, bleh.
Really?
This was a good game. I'm sad the studio that made this is dead.
Bro.
And we won't get another one. I was like begging for a sequel since this one came out. Thanks for letting me know about the audio, guys.
I never had that issue. Nobody ever mentioned it before. I thought it was fine. Where's the fucking ladder? Oop, I didn't mean to do that. Is that a ladder? No. Where the fuck do I go? Oh, there it is.
Jill,
I got the passcode.
good work. Now let's neutralize that virus.
Neutralize that ass, Jill. Too dangerous.
Authorization confirmed. Initiating virus neutralization program.
Well done, BSAA. Your activities have been...
It's a 3DS. They couldn't afford a video.
I knew O'Brien and his dog Raymond were sniffing around my business. I didn't account for your involvement, however. That was my only mistake.
So it was you. You attacked Tarek Regia.
You.
Jill, look out.
What?
It looks like my mistakes are about to stop. You were stolen for the Queen's Zenobia.
Oh shit. I got greedy. Thanks, Chris. Oh shit. I don't think I can scan you from over here. Can I? Oh, I was like, why'd you have me go behind? I didn't realize I was... Oh, okay. I'm gonna scan you too, though. Yeah. Okay, okay. Just shoot. Oh shit, one of you. You. And... Why would I use any other gun? Holy shit. There he is. Hey, guy. Okay, let me out. The fuck? Oh shit, no! Are you playing co-op? No, I'm playing solo. I don't think this game has co-op, to be honest. I got him. What the fuck hit me? Which one are you fucking shooting at me? I knew it. No, the only one I'm playing co-op right now, well, I played 5 co-op with Lemon Wedges. I'm also playing 6 co-op with Lemon Wedges, which will be Friday. We should be able to finish it Friday, if you're curious. Same Shattered time, same Shattered channel. I'm really looking forward to that one, because that game's fun. I think it's retarded, but Resident Evil 6 is fucking dumb. But it is a blast to play.
I should have expected as much from a duo who brought down Umbrella. However, your days of playing cops and robbers are...
These are over, mister.
I do hope you understand the gravity of my making a...
Well, I guess technically I'm playing with my boy, Bongo Cat here.
great weakness.
Yeah.
I am fearful of things. Even little things. And must clean up every last imperfection. The BSAA, my dear Director O'Brien, your whole organization. You cause nothing but trouble.
O'Brien, no.
Surely you didn't expect me to just let you snoop around unbridled.
Unbridled. It's a good word.
Yourselves. Have a look. Your destiny is in my hands.
What the?
The Queen Zenobia.
This is the final stretch. There is about an hour and a half left. I'm not gonna do this tonight. I'll finish this. There's no stream tomorrow. I mean, I guess I could, depending on when I get back home, but it'll be a late stream, like 10. Beat it now. All right. I'm just kidding. You didn't say beat what? No. Should I? God damn it. Are you really gonna hang out? I'll do it if you're here. I'll be up for hours. Nice. I could eat a peach for hours. That was face off. I have 3 episodes left. I think I saw earlier that they're about a half hour each. So I could do it. Beat it. Oh my god, you clipped that? Let's see. There is about an hour and a half left. I'm not gonna do this tonight. I'll finish this. There's no stream tomorrow. I mean, I guess I could, depending on when I get back home, but it'll be a late stream. Nah, get some sleep. You'll regret it tomorrow. Yeah, I regret it every morning. Right. I wake up, I'm like... you didn't say what? No. Nice, your boy. Yeah, I have 1 stream of this left, and it would actually be a short stream. I have less than 2 hours, for sure. But yeah, I guess now's a good time to raid out. Let's see. Hold up. Let me quit this first. Let me get back in here. I think I just save, you know. Be safe, you gotta save again. You know how it is. See who's live. Let me quit this first. All right, close that. You got Vintage Potato playing Captured. Sonya's playing Dark Souls 2. Ooh. Brad Tastic's playing Spider-Man. You guys want to Cutie Patootie play Dark Souls 2? Let's raid her. She has 104, so she doesn't need a raid, but... Yeah. Where's the stepsis stuck in dryer? I didn't make it yet. I haven't had time. I had work today. Wait, speaking of, fuck. Alright, hold on. I have to send something out, actually, for my Etsy. But, let's raid Sonya, Hina? I think I spelled that right. Alright, well, everybody who's here hanging out, thanks. It's always a pleasure. I really do like this game. I don't play enough of it. This is like my 3rd time playing this one. I like it more than 0. See ya. Yeah, peace out, bro. Here, I trust her with my audience. Okay, and 3, 2, 1. So long, fuckers.